The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists, Jeremy Gardner from Augur, Theo Goodman from Transmission Rocks, Will Pangman from Satoshi Social, and I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to issue 1. Look at how fast my new computer can activate screen share. Issue 1. At long last, in summer of 2015, after promises of winter 2015, Ethereum has launched. Ethereum, the blockchain of programmable contracts, is here. The largest crowd sale in crypto history with more than $18 million in sales has arrived. But will it pay off? Jeremy Gardner, is Ethereum a success? What will it bring us now that we didn't have before?
Ethereum's not a success because it literally launched yesterday, but it is not vaporware anymore, which is beyond awesome. I mean, it's one less argument I have to have in my life. Whether or not it will be a success is yet to be determined, but I think it's very promising. I couldn't have more faith in the team. It's going to bring on a lot of revolutionary applications. I was looking at their deck. There are 74 decentralized applications being built on Ethereum right now, and that just blows my mind. I mean, it just launched yesterday. So I think it's got a very promising future ahead of it.
74, but the only one I've heard of is Augur.
Rock and roll. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Augur. I think that's really a cool application. I'm glad that Ethereum finally launched, and I'm glad that it did launch, that it didn't not launch. That's excellent news. Like you said, it was the biggest IPO ever. I always said most epic IPO in crypto history. But now that it's launched, I'm not even going to use that IPO word because it has such a negative connotation in the crypto world. So now that Ethereum is live, that's great. And my understanding is now that it's live, you know, the guys that want to use Serpent for on Bitcoin blockchain Serpent things can do it now because they're going to try to use the same standard of the coding language that's used in Ethereum on the Bitcoin blockchain too. So let's see just how that develops. Now, whether the coin Ether is a success, I have no idea because there's a lot of factors in. And just so you know, there's already the platform Crypto Margin has already said via Twitter that as soon as Cryptsy adds Ether, they will offer the opportunity to short it.
Will Pangman.
Yeah, it definitely is exciting to see Ethereum out of the blocks and off and running. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what Augur can do and other such applications being built. I think, you know, of course, Augur prediction markets are very powerful with some liquidity and some real robust security and decentralized using, you know, Ethereum. A prediction market could actually take flight. It's really exciting stuff. You know, there are prediction markets in existence, and there have been some in the past that had some kind of traction, but it hasn't. They never were able to catch on, or you know, regulatory regimes able to shut them down, or they just weren't very effective because of low participation, low liquidity. And Augur has a chance to change all that. So I know this is a topic about Ethereum, but I'm just kind of pumped to see what Jeremy and his team can do. And of course, you know, you can't buy and sell or burn Ether yet, if I'm correct on that. So it's hugely limited in the Frontier release at this point. But yeah, like Jeremy pointed out, it's no longer vaporware, and people are going to be flocking to apply the Serpent code and you know, other things that Ethereum can do, like Whisper and so on, to all kinds of other applications. So yeah, it brings up a lot of emotions in a lot of people. There's a lot of haters out there, and of course a lot of people who think that they've been cheated because they didn't release sooner. And I know last week we gave predictions about when it would be released, and I hoped it would be released before the end of the year, and here we are. So yeah, it'd be great to see the next step taken where you can trade Ether, where you can burn Ether, and where some of these applications, some of the more simple ones, start to get deployed as well.
Exit question. Buying Ether in the crowd sale was a good decision. Yes or no? Jeremy Gardner.
That's to be determined. The economics of gas fees and such have not yet been figured out. I didn't buy any. I haven't bought any since it launched, nor do I really intend to for the time being. But it's not a deflationary kind of commodity like Bitcoin is. So I don't think it was a bad decision or a good decision yet. We'll see how kind of the price plays out in the future.
Theo Goodman.
Yeah, of course. None of us have a crystal ball, so there's no real clear market price to be determined. However, I would say that if you bought at the crowd sale, you bought with Bitcoin, and you bought at a time when Bitcoin was, I think, around 600. So in that sense, you might make out okay, just depending on how the price goes. So in that sense, maybe it would have been a good thing. Of course, I own zero. But yeah, let's see what happens, and let's see how it works out.
Will Pangman.
No, buying Ether in the crowd sale was not a good idea, just because of the development timeline and actually the behavior of Ethereum's treasury not hedging Bitcoin against the declining price of Bitcoin. They kept, to my knowledge, and from what I've heard, they kept a vast majority of what they raised, 18 million or whatever, in Bitcoin, and watched that amount depreciate by as much as the Bitcoin price depreciated. So that was poorly managed, and they'd have a much longer runway if they had managed that better. We're armchair quarterbacking here, but most people excited about Ether probably didn't have the disposable income to buy Ether, and may have anyway. For whales, for the large investor types, great buy for them. I mean, it's very, very speculative, but great buy for them. I mean, the value. It's another one of these plays like Bitcoin. It's a 10,000% upside and 100% downside. So I mean, you can definitely roll with that if you're deep pockets. So yeah, for the average Joe, it was not a good idea. They took way too long to release. The scope creep happened and all that. I mean, so you didn't probably get the value you thought you were going to get in the time you thought.
Will's right. The answer is no. Crowd sales tend to benefit only the people holding the crowd sale, but we'll see if that holds true in the future. Moving on to issue 2. Congratulations to our friends at Trees.Delivery, who scored a major PR coup this morning with both the stalwart CoinDesk and the upstart Cointelegraph covering the fledgling cannabis delivery service, who now claims to be offering line-of-sight delivery with drones and discounts for Bitcoin. Theo Goodman, your thoughts on marijuana and Bitcoin?
It's a match made in heaven, ladies and gentlemen. It's perfect because you can pay, and you can pay not totally anonymously, but you can pay privately, let's say, more or less privately. So like cash, so I can pay online. I don't have to have an account or something like that to pay with, depending on how it's set up. Another thing that is what we're seeing even in the legal weed industry is that banks are unwilling to give a lot of these companies bank accounts. So it makes perfect sense that they just use some kind of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, or if they want to use another one, that makes perfect sense because they don't have to ask the bank permission in order to have a bank account. So I think that's going to continue to be a trend.
Will Pangman.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Marshall Hayner's new company, Trees. They've been in existence a real short time, and they're already making lots of noise. He was really able to get to market very quickly, which is exciting because this is a huge, here we are very focused on Bitcoin, but there's a couple other areas in, let's say, technology or innovation that are really ripe and getting lots of investor attention. And the legal cannabis industry is one of them. And certainly, it just, as Theo pointed out, it makes great sense. I'd love to see, we were joking about it yesterday as all of these news articles and Reddit posts were getting so much traction, and kudos to Marshall, great job getting that visibility. We were joking about, we need to see a drone with like a big placard with a QR code on it flying around with one of those things they have in the stadiums that drop one T-shirt at a time, but it could drop like one cube of cannabis at a time, and you just, as it's flying around, you can scan the QR code and it'll come delivered to you. Or there's all kinds of crazy things you can do with this. And what's interesting to me is here you have someone who's a die-hard cryptocurrency advocate, Marshall Hayner, who created a non-Bitcoin startup and just accepts Bitcoin, right? This is so valuable, as Theo pointed out, to increase the utility of Bitcoin in general, to have Bitcoin aficionados, fanboys, fangirls, whatever, creating businesses and innovations that only, leverage Bitcoin as a payment mechanism, but they're providing a new utility in the marketplace, in a burgeoning industry, for example. So I'd like to see more of that, more startups that out of the gates trumpet they're proud to accept Bitcoin, but they're doing a different service than, let's say, traditional cryptocurrency startups we've seen in the last 2 years.
Jeremy Gardner.
All right. Small disclaimer, I actually am invested in trees, so I'm a bit biased, but I mean, yeah, what everyone said, I mean, marijuana is going to be, I love Bitcoin, I love the cryptocurrency industry, it's what I do, but the fastest growing industry the next decade is going to be marijuana. We're going to see a large nationwide sweep towards recreational and medicinal marijuana, and it's going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry beyond what it is now in a very short period of time. It's really exciting. What Marshall and Miko are doing at Trees is one of the best platforms, both from a business standpoint and just from a cannabis standpoint. They're doing just a fantastic job. I've been very emphatic that they kind of focus on making this friendly to Bitcoiners. Miko's the founder of Local Bitcoins and a bit disillusioned with the industry, but I think they've been really pleased with the response they've gotten within the industry, and it's been thrilling to see because, I mean, they have the best pod in San Francisco, and it's just like, it's a great team, and I love everything that they're doing, so I couldn't be more supportive of the undertaking.
Exit question. In the future, there will be more or less integrations between cannabis and Bitcoin. Theo Goodman.
More integrations.
Will Pangman.
Definitely more.
Jeremy Gardner.
Hopefully only trees.
The answer is more. Moving on. Check out Purse.io with a brand new redesign and the same savings you've come to love. Buy something with Bitcoin today at Purse.io. Spend Bitcoins. Save money with Purse. Please support our sponsor. They make this show possible. Issue 3. Can Bitcoin get Taylor Swift to love Spotify? Could Bitcoin micropayments for artists be tracked by the music streaming service to instantly repay for play? Will Bitcoin unite the internet and save the artists? Will Pangman.
I don't know about Spotify, but yeah, I'd love to see on-demand micropayments enabled for music streaming services. I don't want to subscribe to all these different music streaming services, and I hate that I can only skip ahead 3 or 4 songs before they stop that. And I also hate that if I want to find a particular song, I can't just play it on demand with the free version of Pandora and Spotify. Right? And I know there are other services that, they definitely don't have the same offering or same options, but they might offer that on-demand play for the free version of their app. But no, they have low traction. I mean, the winners are clearly right now Spotify and Pandora, and even Apple Music's going to have a ways to go to catch up to that. I think for probably 4 more years, people will still be buying tracks on iTunes and then just using the streaming services that they've already used instead of using Apple's streaming service. That's just my guess. But yeah, if I could on demand pay for a song, pay a quarter, nickel, whatever, to hear the song that I want, that's big game changer right there, and that would get a lot of people attracted. If they enabled that with Bitcoin, because it's low overhead, you're able to do it with the microtransactions. A company doing it, a company like Spotify or Pandora or someone like that taking that on, would just bring a lot of people. Just like with the Backpage situation. I mean, that's like a born out of tragedy. Their credit cards get shut down, and everyone who wants to use the service has to learn Bitcoin immediately. And so they flock in droves. But there's such friction there that it took days for some people to get their ads back up and stuff. The learning curve, right? So again, more and more companies like this doing this voluntarily, as opposed to, say, forced to, like in the Backpage situation, will bring so much adoption to Bitcoin and really show the power of it with micropayments and on-demand music.
All right, we're going to go back an issue. We're joined by Marshall Hayner from Trees. Hey, Marshall, how's it going?
Hey, Thomas. Thanks for having me. It's great to be on the show again.
We just talked about trees. Everyone agrees that marijuana and Bitcoin have a lot more integration coming in the future, and we're all waiting for the day that you can deliver to Theo all the way in Germany with a drone. What's going on at Trees?
Great things. We're just getting started, and the response has been really overwhelming. What we're trying to do at Trees is we're trying to build an amazing cannabis experience, and we're doing that with working with very professional brands and basically disrupting the dispensary model, which says, here's the top shelf, but what you really think is the best cannabis in the dispensary really is a C+ at best. So we use the Uber model to disrupt that and bring the best cannabis in the world directly to you, because the dispensary screws over the grower and they don't give them a good deal. And we accept Bitcoin, and we use cryptocurrency basically to process most of our online payments, and it's just a dream come true.
Now, how soon will I be able to order Trees at a concert and have it delivered by a drone? Are we pretty close to that?
I think so. We're getting pretty close. What we have right now is we have the technology to do it, but the Federal Aviation Administration basically says that if you are to do this, you need a Section 333 exemption, which basically allows you to fly out of sight and over 400 feet. But they're still not allowing anyone to do any commercial deliveries, unfortunately, yet. If you have the Section 333 exemption, you could theoretically do it, but I'm pretty sure you would lose your license pretty quick. Amazon is working to fast-track this whole program, and most likely by the end of the year, we'll start seeing a lot of drones in the air, and Amazon will probably have a system sort of like AWS, where you can just kind of deploy it pretty easily. The technology is there, it's just an issue of the government not wanting a lot of drones in the sky.
So if only I lived in another country where they didn't mind the sky full of drones, I could get my proper delivery, right?
I was cracking up pretty hard getting some of the messages from Trees. People were asking, hey, can you fly one over to London or in Kentucky? I wish I could, but I'd be breaking a lot of laws to do that.
I also like the ideas on Reddit of people sitting on their roofs with telescopes and long-range rifles shooting down these drones and then celebrating the contents like a piñata.
Oh man, that's my worst nightmare if we ever go live with that. I think that that would be really bad.
I think they were excited just to shoot down drones at first, but they got a whole nother level of excitement when they knew they'd be filled with weed.
It's like, wow, this is actually starting to become really worth it to shoot one of these things down.
More and more. We'll see how it's going. But now we're going back to our next issue, which is, could Bitcoin micropayments for artists save the music industry? Jeremy Gardner.
Yeah, absolutely. Micropayments was one of the first winning use cases that I came across when I entered Bitcoin. Really excited me. But right now we don't have the capabilities in the network. We're going to need something like the Lightning Network to make this possible. Right now micropayments really aren't a real thing on Bitcoin. So there are improvements that need to be made to our protocol. But once they are possible, I think micropayments and streaming services are a match made in heaven, along with most forms of digital content online. It's a really robust mechanism for rewarding content creators while still not forcing people into long-term and expensive contracts.
And remember, the music industry, the industry itself wouldn't have to use micropayments. They could use batching or a system like BlockCipher and just send the payments when they're large enough. It's just the idea that you can start to calculate at this level and they could truly reward all of their artists instead of just the top level. Theo Goodman.
Definitely. Bitcoin and music is a match very similar to marijuana and Bitcoin. It goes together perfectly, reduces the friction to pay for a song. You can just scan the QR code. Big shout out to BitTunes and what they're doing. Very interesting app. I hope that succeeds. Big shout out to ProTip. Same idea. You just have to have a QR code and a Bitcoin address near your song, and then the people can pay with a micropayment. I think this is the way forward. With songs, it just lowers the friction to pay for a song, and it's better for everybody. It's better for the artist. It's better for the people that consume the content, and we can cut out the middleman. Finally, we can get rid of these labels and distributors that are doing things that the artists don't want to do. Not that labels aren't needed or even distributors, but give the artist the money.
Marshall Hayner, can Bitcoin and micropayments save music?
I think so, but I think the problem is that what we see in Bitcoin is that consumer tools right now are very weak. And so I know Will Pangman and Airbit's team and Mycelium and some good wallet and Block.io, some really great wallet developers are working on this, but it's a lot harder than it sounds. And so until we can fix this problem of getting into Bitcoin easy, then we're not going to be able to do this. Because if people can't just add their bank account or just type in their credit card number and they can start micro-tipping, then it won't work. The problem is that in the US, and also in general when it comes to selling Bitcoins, the level of fraud and the level of compliance that you need to have really kills the user experience. And a lot of people will agree that Coinbase is the best place to buy your Bitcoins, but simultaneously is some of the toughest experience and has a high rate of shutting down accounts. So I do believe that the potential is there, but we need an on-ramp. We need a really good on-ramp before we can get there.
Exit question. What's your favorite Taylor Swift song? And what do you think of the new album? Theo Goodman.
I love the new album, and I listen to it every morning to get going, to get motivated for the day. And I'd have to say that my favorite song is Shake It Out, Shaking It Out, or something like that.
Will Pangman. Very convincing, Theo. Very convincing.
Yeah, I agree with Theo. Shake It Off is definitely my favorite song on that album. It's a pretty great song. It sounds a lot like Hey Ya for you young kids out there. That's an Outkast track. But yeah, play those two back to back, and I don't care that Taylor Swift was inspired by that song, if she was, or if it was just an accident, or if the people who write her songs, I don't know. But yeah, it's a great pop song for sure. It's screw those haters.
It's the best music a machine can write. Marshall Hayner.
I don't know. Welcome to New York, because I'm from New York, so I don't know. I don't really know a lot of Taylor Swift songs, to be honest. I know those. I know Shake It Out and Welcome to New York.
Track one, side one. Jeremy Gardner.
Well, I love T Swift. I think she's great. I think she's talented. I think she's virtuous. I think she's just absolutely wonderful in every way. I like to think that she really wrote the song I Knew You Were Trouble about me before ever meeting me, and I'm just waiting for the moment that she can actually tell me that. So that's that.
I'm a big fan of the song Blank Space, but in a Swiftian choice, I'll have to go with Style. Swiftian. That doesn't mean what I think it means anymore. Moving on to Issue 4. Issue 4. Showing that justice in Japan may move slowly, but is not dead. Japanese police are said to be preparing to charge Mark Karpeles over the collapse of the famed Magic the Gathering exchange. Will Pangman. Will Karpeles follow Shrem to the pokey? Follow-up question. Are Karpeles and Shrem just the tip of the spear? Are we beginning to see a trend? Will there be more Bitcoin CEOs in jail?
Well, I think Karpeles, if he is charged in the Japanese court, he's very likely to be convicted. I think they have like a 99.7% conviction rate or some psychotically high conviction rate, which is probably not justice.
Naturally, if you're accused, you must be guilty.
So, culturally, I'm not sure how that works over there, but their conviction rate seems very, very high. If he is charged, he will probably be going to jail. And I'm interested in getting to the bottom of the whole incestuous nature of BitInstant, Mt. Gox, Silk Road, and all the stories, and maybe uncovering some more players like the Variety Jones character. And I mean, this saga is so interesting. I think if more of this truth of the story comes out that seems to have been swept under the rug a great deal by these corrupt agents or by Karpeles or Gonzag or whoever over at Mt. Gox, or Karpeles' lawyers who were apparently making deals with the Baltimore HSI. Who knows? Like, I think we need to get more of this truth out, and then we can see, about reducing Ross Ulbricht's sentence, or even giving him a retrial, like it's clear he probably deserves. So, yeah, I want to hear the rest of the story. I wouldn't put Charlie Shrem in the same category as Mark Karpeles. Charlie ran a solid business. Charlie had very few unhappy customers. There was a period where Mt. Gox went down, and so BitInstant quickly, in like 48 hours, rewrote a lot of their back end to not use Mt. Gox or to get around it as well. And everyone was back up. Everyone got their Bitcoin delivered that was waiting in the lurch there. Charlie ran a stellar business. He tried to work with the regulators. He learned at a young age, and very harshly, how that when you try to help regulators and think they're going to help you in return. That's how it goes. So I don't at all put Charlie in the same category as Mark Karpeles, who built a shoddy product and had some very shoddy business practices that led to, at worst, severe fraud, and at best, criminal negligence.
It's a good point, Will. It will be interesting to finally hear the Mark Karpeles story, what some are calling the greatest story ever told. Marshall Hayner, are you with us?
Hey, yeah, sorry, I lost my connection there for a second.
What do you think of Mark Karpeles?
I think that it's, all right, I'm just going to come out with it. I've been saying it since day one, and I think that there's more to the story here, and everybody knows that there is, but it just seems crazy to me that you could run this whole thing, and it gets hacked, and then you say, oh, I don't know what happened. It couldn't have possibly have been me. I'm just a good guy. But look at Mark's history. What was Mark doing before Mt. Gox? If you read up and you read the story about how he left France and under the circumstances that he left France, you'll start to paint a bigger picture of serious problems. And I'm not saying that he did it, but I'm also saying that it seems unlikely that you could run this business and not know about something like this going on.
Jeremy Gardner.
Nobody I know that's intimate with the Gox fiasco does not believe that Karpeles is not criminally negligent. I mean, I think that's manifest. I think he's actually more accurately criminally aloof. This guy is just on such a different planet. I don't think he meant well. I don't think he meant bad. I think he's very French. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
French. Theo Goodman.
I have to think about that very French thing. What am I going to say? Yeah, I don't hope anyone goes to jail. I just think this whole idea, the whole structures we have with justice are pretty crazy, to say the least. But I think that he's probably the most likely CEO to go to jail that I can think of if he is convicted. That's for sure. And like you said, in Japan, they don't just start a trial with someone unless they think they're going to get them. They don't like to lose. Now, my question is, if he goes to jail, who's going to take care of the cats?
Think about the kittens, people. Think about the kittens. Exit question. Bitcoin CEOs in trouble. Who's in the biggest trouble? Shrem, Karpeles, or wildcard Zappo CEO Wences Cesares? Will Pengman.
Oh, definitely Mark Karpeles, the amount of money involved alone.
Marshall Hayner.
I'm going to have to go with Mark Karpeles because we already know what's going on with Shrem, and he's going to be out in a little while, in a couple of years. But Mark Karpeles, I mean, he stole $500 million. I mean, if he stole, if they find that he did, and from what I'm hearing, that it's sort of like the federal government.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, right? Sorry, I can't say that he actually did that. But if he did, if he did actually steal that money, yeah, he's going to jail for a long time. And I don't think they fuck around in the, the Japanese court, because Yeah, it's like the federal government in the United States. If you get indicted by the feds, you're going down. I mean, look what happened to Charlie. Like, look what happened to Ross. If you get indicted, it's going to be over. And from what I've read about the Japanese legal system, it's not going to probably go very well.
You might have to commit Harry Carey, and that's not just a Cubs announcer. Jeremy Gard.
I think Charlie definitely has it worse right now. I mean, he's sitting away in a federal penitentiary. He doesn't have a good life. I just sent him some books the other day. But yeah, I mean, in the future prospectus, I mean, it's not looking good for Karpeles at all. I have a strong feeling Japanese prisons are pretty nice, though. So Charlie still may have it worse. We'll see how it plays out. And then things really aren't looking good for Wences. I mean, he's not going to jail, but I mean, as a business, Zappo's not in good water right now. So all of them are in bad places.
Theo Goodman.
I'm going to go with Shrem because we know he is in trouble. He's actually in prison right now, and that's a pretty big deal if you think about it. So I would definitely go with him. We don't know what's going to happen with this whole Mt. Gox thing. It does look bad for Karpeles, but I'm still going to go with Shrem.
Surprise answer. The correct answer is Wences Dezaris. His plotline too closely mirrors the plotline of Silicon Valley. He's in danger of becoming a laughingstock and losing his company. I'd worry more about the laughing part first. Moving on to questions and answers. There's still a chance if you'd like to get in your question, and we'll see if we can get an answer. Right now, we have none, which is great for me because we can make a shorter show and move on to predictions or story of the week. Are you ready, Marshall Hayner, with a prediction or a story of the week, which you'll have to come up with right now while I'm stalling?
Oh, man. Story of the week definitely goes to Trees.Delivery for delivering weed with Bitcoins and drones. But prediction of the week, man, I don't know. I would have to...
Very dramatic way to lose connection during his prediction. Jeremy Gardner.
I think I might have lost you guys for a second there.
Oh, go ahead, Marshall. Are you back? You got a prediction?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think I'm a Bitcoin bear right now. I think the price might fall a little.
Ooh, we never like that. Jeremy Gardner.
All right, story of the week. So last night I was at the bar, met two identical twins. They were beautiful, females. Turns out everything you've seen in movies isn't true. It's just they're just not into incest. So that was my lesson of the week. I'm gonna go contradict Marshall. Say long Bitcoin, very bullish for the next 2 weeks. Price is only going up. I mean, it can fall a few dollars, but I'm beyond bullish. Take my word.
To the moon and no double mint girls. Theo Goodman.
Yeah, I'm also bullish right now. I'm hesitant bullish, let's say. But yeah, I think that the chart. I was going to pull up a chart, but you caught me off guard with the prediction, so I'm not ready, and I do not have my chart ready. But my prediction is that the Shanghai Stock Exchange has a slight upturn and then continues to dump like we've never seen before, freaks everybody in the world out, and people figure out maybe Bitcoin is okay. I mean, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin might have some FOMO dumps, let's say, these like $5 moves in 1 minute or something, but I think that there have been attempts to sell off lately, and it's held up pretty well at the 270, 280 range. It's held up pretty well lately. I'm pretty optimistic about that. So as long as that holds up, then it's looking pretty good. Now we have to challenge that kind of 310, 305, all that kind of stuff needs to be challenged again and really busted through. Right now everyone is freaking out and selling around that area. So let's see what happens.
Will Pangman.
So yeah, story of the week. I guess I don't have a story of the week. I'm going to go with a prediction. Prediction is kind of an echo of the last two predictions, but I think we're going to see, especially in September and onward, as the Bitcoin conference calendar sort of heats up. There's like 3 or 4 conferences before the end of the year on the west coast of the U.S., and there's a big conference in Seoul before the end of the year, Seoul, Korea. So all these conferences and all of the action in the geopolitical realm, you know, whether it's in China or Greece or South America or other areas, are going to really start to excite the world about the technological possibilities of Bitcoin and the autonomy and financial independence, protection, wealth protection possibilities of Bitcoin. So between now and the end of the year, we're going to see a lot more agreeable attitudes towards Bitcoin, and that probably will be reflected in the price, but this is not a price prediction.
And finally, a prediction. Everything will be fine. The bad people will get what they deserve. The good people will be rewarded. Bitcoin's transparency is a new path to honesty. Those who have been false to Bitcoin will get their comeuppance. Those who have been true will get their reward. It's not about punishment. It's about justice. Oh, we're out of time. Until next time, bye-bye.